And here's my companion who's been working all day, Mr. Neill Morrill. Hello. Oh, he hasn't got his headphones on yet. Sorry.
No, I haven't. Okay, hang on.
Oh, God.
Oh, which way do they go on?
I think they're unisex. I think left or right. It doesn't make any difference.
Hey, right around your ball sack.
Oh, perfect.
There you go.
There we go.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to another edition of Two Brits and a Yank.
Oh, dear. So, yeah, we've been working today. Well, yesterday I picked up Neil, 9 a.m. at Heathrow?
Yeah, about 9 a.m.
About 9 a.m. And then we stopped off for a coffee on the way and then came back here. And then pretty much within 20 minutes of being here, we were in the workshop getting on.
Foolishly.
Sounds like when you were over here.
Pretty much, yeah. And then, so we worked until about 6 or 7 last night, I think. I went out for a beer. But it was basically, we got it all done. We ran one set yesterday. And then...
the pictures you posted on Instagram look terrific.
Yeah, they're coming out all right. I'm really pleased.
I can't wait to see this go on.
Well, we were thinking we would use this chat as a way to make decisions about what we were going to talk about for our presentation, because we haven't had time. I was thinking I should get this presentation ready for Saturday. But the thing was, we were still making the things that would be photographed in the presentation. So there seemed very little point in doing that until we finished it.
Well, aren't you doing another chat also in the morning?
Yes, I'm speaking to Chris Lyons first, and then I'm speaking to Charlie Short, who's a YouTuber guy known as Pink Stylist, who's got 26 million YouTube subscribers,
which is insane,
which is crazy.
Jesus.
Isn't it? Yeah. But he's done some really good stuff. But he's qualified and he does good stuff. But he does it with flair and it's entertaining. And it's one of those things where there's so many people that have seen his stuff, and I'm sure a lot of the people at the trade show will know him and stuff, and I'm I look into it. I mean, I've heard the name, and I don't really watch a lot of YouTube tutorials to do with makeup. I tend to watch YouTube tutorials about how to edit sound and use After Effects stuff I don't know.
How does Fusion 360 work?
Exactly. Yeah. That is not. Yeah, if you put in "how does" on my search bar and Google, it's Fusion, After Effects, and all these things that I don't know how they work. So, but that's why it's good to do good tutorials for things, because I know when I find tutorials, I'm grateful when I find someone that knows what they're talking about, that does a good job. So he does.
Look at Neil; he's drinking his beer out of a glass instead of out of the can. Such manners.
It's so civilized, right?
Your mama raised you right.
Didn't she just? I'm going to take a quick screen grab. Are you ready?
Sure.
Wicked. That's very funny. I'm totally going to put that on Instagram. That was in my old workshop. Oh, that was a video. I don't need that. Look how grey my beard is not here. That's only a few years ago.
Holy shit.
That's my old workshop.
We're almost in the same level of grey.
We are.
Yeah, pretty much.
Scary,
and you've got a lot of red in your beard too, Stu.
Who, me?
Neil.
Yeah.
Well, Neil does. He's got a lot of red. It looks like brotherly beards.
Mm.
He's got a little more hair than you do, Stuart.
He does a lot more hair than me. Most people, newborn babies, have more hair than I do.
Maybe you should wear this.
Yeah. Should I put that
on? Is this the wig for the demo?
Yeah. I don't know if I should do this.
Don't tear the lace. You look like a Russian in snowstorm.
Thanks.
Russian sable hat.
I don't want to put the headphones on and crush it down. It's really it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, it's all coming together. It's been.
Who's your model?
Normski. Normski Anderson. So he's lively, and I'm hoping he'll be a good Reverend Brown.
I'm pretty sure he's going to make it all come together just because It's very animated.
Yeah, it's very animated.
Great. I hope somebody videotapes it.
We will be videoing the application on the stand, because we're doing some of it on the stand and then we're going to finish off on the stage, and I think they're videoing that, but I might hook up my video too. I'm going to bring my C stand and some tripods and stuff, so yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, it's been good, but it's been crazy. It's been like 2 days of really full on, and we were talking about this, and this is interesting. You can't open it, you can open the can. Listen to this.
Oh, I feel bad.
It's a can of Guinness. It has a widget in it that makes it foam, so you get that distinct.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
That sounds luscious, right?
That's amazing.
Ooh.
That sounds so good.
Guinness is an entire food group.
It is. It's not. I mean, I've drunk it in Dublin and I didn't like it, so that must mean I definitely don't like Guinness. I've tried. It's acquired taste, but.
Oh, it's definitely an acquired taste.
But how long does it take to acquire it? I already like Coca-Cola. I didn't have to go through like an orientation to find out how to make it taste nice.
But do you like Pepsi?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's got a lot more sugar in it, I think. Well, they're both shit.
Yeah, no.
I mean, they're both terrible for you.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Atlanta, so I'm a Coca-Cola guy.
There you go.
Yeah. That's where Chris Lyons went the day I left Atlanta. He went to the Coca-Cola Museum.
Did he really?
Yeah, because he was staying another day, so he went to the Coca-Cola Museum and the aquarium.
Both really worth seeing.
Never been.
No, and the aquarium looked great. If they had more time, I would have gone.
Do they have fish swimming in Coke? That would be.
They have a tank with a whale shark in it.
Oh, really?
An enormous,
gigantic
tank.
Have your badges turned up yet?
I have not checked the mail yet today, but my copies of Prosthetics Magazine arrived yesterday, along with my Prosthetics Event hoodie.
Cool.
Which I'm not wearing today because I'm doing silicone and I don't want to fuck it up before I get a chance to even wear it.
That's awesome. I don't have a Prosthetics Event hoodie. I'm hoping we can get some this weekend.
Yeah.
I think I got one of the first ones because I don't think they're going to be available until Saturday.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. And if you wear it before Saturday, it'll self-ignite and take you out.
Probably, yeah.
This is why I'm bald. So we spent 2 days doing this, and it's been quite frantic actually, because it's not that it was difficult to do. It was more we were both quite conscious about doing a nice job, and we kind of observed it's quite funny how much effort we've been putting into it. Like, I've been spending a few hours on it every day for the past month or so, but in the last week it's been a bit more full on. And
I don't even know how long.
Well, you add up the hours. We were saying it's probably like a 20 grand makeup altogether, and it's quite involved. Like
and you did a little experimenting too with your collapsible core.
Yeah, which I'm not.
Piece.
I don't claim to be a superior mold maker at all. I haven't done that many collapsible cores, which is precisely why I wanted to do it on here.
And it worked.
Yeah, we've been experimenting. And also the other thing we experimented with was tinting the cap plastic, which I think has paid off fantastic dividends. It works really well. We haven't powdered the pieces getting them out, so there's no powder on the cap plastic.
Cool.
So there's a few little things that I've tried out, and we're doing, and it feels fun, but it's just weird how much effort's gone into something for a bit of fun.
What was the release you used for the cap plastic?
Initially, I sprayed the crap out of it with wax, like an aerosol wax. Let that dry, buffed it back, and then I used Vaseline, and then a couple of layers of epoxy parfilm, and then the second run just epoxy parfilm, because I maintain
spray wax release is something we just don't have over here.
Is that right?
Yeah, I can't find it.
From Man, they do a liquid wax that you can put in an aerosol, maybe in a Preval sprayer.
Oh, man, I'll try that. Yeah, I've got some liquid stuff, but a nice spray would be so much finer.
Mm. I didn't realise that spray waxes weren't something.
There's a whole thing with pellets in North America. It's a nightmare.
Okay. Now.
Yeah.
You've seen you've seen
when
Dallas,
you come over
right?
for Monsterpalooza, bring me a couple of cans.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the hairspray, in Dallas and Dynasty and stuff. That was, aerosol cans were quite the thing. I did not realise that. So yeah, but you can, like you say, like Neil says, you can kind of atomize the liquid wax. That's quite good. But just the wax kind of helps, just acts as a primary thing, and then you can buff it back, and it just helps fill any tiny little holes. And then the Vaseline is just a safeguard, and then the Ultra 4 over the top is just a nice release. But the second run, we just used Ultra 4, and it seems to have worked fine. But the two big cores have both been opened using that technique that, again, I associate with Rob
Freitas. So there's no torque.
Yeah, so we put the strips of wood on, and I videoed all of this. So I've got them opening, and it going...
the sound.
The sound. And then it was pretty cool. So, but we're driving up tomorrow, and it's now 9:10 in the evening, and there's a very noisy car going past.
Oh my God,
this is why I don't use these microphones anymore.
It's kind of crazy. It picks up literally everything.
Yeah. So the where was I?
We're driving up.
I'm driving up tomorrow. We're driving up tomorrow. So because of that, it's kind of like I haven't, as you can tell, my brain's fuzzy. I mean, it is anyway, but.
You guys have been going nonstop.
Yeah, it's been a bit crazy.
Since,
you must have been
Neil got there, and then you went to the pub last night, and
only a couple of beers.
The drinking lamp's been lit again.
Yeah, and then we ate. We had a nice curry tonight.
Yeah, that was just a mild lubrication, just to ease us into the job.
You didn't need that for 12 hours sleep. You didn't need much alcohol at all. But
we consumed a fair amount of cactus juice when Stuart was here.
Yeah, we did. Got quite inebriated on that stuff. It's good. Tequila as well. It was nice. Tree juice. Is that what you said?
Agave cactus juice.
Yeah, it was lovely. So it's all been a bit crazy. So because of that, I kind of feel bad I haven't prepared more for the presentation, but we'll do that tomorrow when that's the only thing I've got to do. It's just at the moment, I'm packing for this and going up to Edinburgh the day after the trade show. So I'm driving up to Edinburgh. So I've got to pack for that too. Plus I've just got to pack, clothes and stuff and all the important things on my laptop and shit like that. And we're just like
stickers.
Yeah, and our hotel tomorrow, like we're not quite sure where it is in relation to the venue, and just basic fundamental stuff that won't take long. You'll figure it out while we're driving up. You're going to be the navigator finding all the shit out while we're driving up, because then it's the only time where it's like I literally can't do anything else right now. So now is when we catch up, listen to podcasts.
I mean, we haven't really kind of thought about what we should be kind of like highlighting in the demo.
No.
Because
otherwise
it is a likeness makeup.
Yeah.
So there's loads of points you could talk about, like.
Well, it is, and it's a kind of an homage makeup, but it's like, why are we doing it? I mean, ultimately, it was because I think it was just because it's a bit of fun. Because it sounded like a lot. You came up with the idea, I think. Was it you that came up with that?
Yeah, it was just because of, we had access to Norm, and I was like, oh man, he'd be perfect for
Reverend Brown.
Yeah, it's just hilarious.
Yeah, so we just figured out how to do it, and then I live cast him in silicone. I then got out a plaster. This was about 2 months ago. I got a plaster out, which I was then going to clean up. But then I had my plaster positive. I sent the mould in silicone to Canada, because that's where Neil is. He lives in Toronto. And then he got the mould, got out a plaster, sculpted it up the pieces, cut them up, and then floated them off, stuck them on a core and shipped it back to me. And then I got the pieces.
Well, it's a pretty spot-on likeness
It's
sculpture.
pretty good, isn't it? I thought it was nice.
I mean, I actually pulled up some pictures of Arsenio Hall in the makeup and looked at the Neil's finished sculpture, and it's like, holy shit, this is dead on.
It's pretty good.
Thank you.
And then we had a little tweaks.
Likenesses, I think, are wicked tough.
Yeah,
it is.
They are, and the hair is a big part of it, isn't it?
Well, that was it. When there was like no hair on it, I was just like, I don't know. It just looked weird.
Yeah, it's just very long.
Emailing, I'm messaging you and going, does this look stupid?
Yeah, no, it didn't. It was cool. There were some little tweaks. Then when the hair was on, and then you sculpted some eyebrows and a mustache on, it was like, okay. And it was like, we need to lengthen this or shorten here. And
I actually said, I was chatting to Mike Hill, and like, because I've known Mike for like 20 odd years, and I was like going, do you mind me sending a picture and just like, because I know he's like amazing at likenesses, and like, just, see what you think. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I don't even know what, you did a bang up job. So I was like,
well, that's high praise.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of scary, but I guess use your mate. It's not so bad, but it's still scary to show.
Mike would definitely like tell me if it was shit.
Yeah,
he doesn't kind of mince words. He's kind of like, no, I wouldn't,
Yeah, but he'd be able to identify where it was shit. That's
exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
He wouldn't just go, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Don't call me anymore.
I mean, it's for the makeup. There were certain things we were looking at and then thinking like, now is that the Reverend Brown, or is that just Arsenio Hall? Because this is things like on Norm, the distance between his nose and his top lip is much bigger than the makeup, so we had to drop the nose quite almost about a quarter of an inch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's quite far
lower. So it's really thick here, but that made the difference. And then, I know we were reluctant to do it because that's quite an extensive extension to the nose and to reduce the distance of the top lip, but it was kind of crucial. Yeah. And then with the mustache, that kind of fills a lot of that in. Although,
and his lips, Norm's lips are thicker than Arsenio's. Arsenio's are relatively
really
thin.
Yeah.
So like pulling that piece down and trying to hide the lip line.
Yeah. It's an interesting one.
It's got a lot of little tricky things to it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the examples.
This would be great if you had pictures that you could actually show the comparisons of what you're talking about, and how, I mean, the whole process of doing a likeness sculpture is one thing, but doing a likeness makeup is something entirely different, because you got to take into account all of the anatomical differences that are underneath the makeup that you can't change that.
And the movement that you would essentially need if it was to be committed to film.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can make someone look really like somebody, but
does it move correctly?
If they've got like 3 inches of rubber on them, it's going to look.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, move much well.
Yeah, can't. They're smiling underneath.
You can't see it. It's not showing through, and it's weird as well because the like we wanted to make this soft because he's got to move in it, and Norm is quite an animated character performer guy anyway. He's not an actor but he's just a very animated person, and so. It would have been a tragedy to have him wear something that would restrict him and stop him being, as active as he needs to be. But it's interesting because the things finish right on the lips and it goes, around the eyes, and his whole face is covered in rubber. So it's going to be a good test of the theories and the things we're going to try out. And then the makeup over the top, we're using the Sean Richards stuff, which I haven't used before on skin.
I really like it.
Well, Neill.
Yeah, it's good. You can get nice washes with it with either alcohol or 244, and I mean it's got really good coverage. I think you're gonna dig it.
What we wanted to do is we didn't want to have to cake this face in makeup, partly because it would look too makeup-y, and also, we always bang on about getting base tones right, and Neill mixed the skin tone for this using silicone pigments. And we spent a fair bit of time, didn't we, just experimenting and doing little patches. And you were like mixing up little test mixes and then letting them set and then seeing how it looked. And spent, most of the morning actually
just on opacity and
trying to tweak the colours.
Did you cast it in gel 10?
No, gel 25 and 100% Deadner LV. So it's really runny, degassed beautifully, molds filled fine. And it seemed good, but the quality of the surface is nice, and because his whole face is pretty much covered, we want it to be something that when it meets his neck, it's not going to be too, disjointed. But I think that's why this 4K longwear stuff is going to be good, because it has a certain sheen to it, and it's really like you put it on your hand yesterday, and when it dries, it stays like packs.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
But it's not packs, so it doesn't wrinkle up like packs might. So. I'm interested to see how it's going to work, but we want that sheen because
it's so heavily pigmented, a little bit goes a long way.
We can blend out like you can with normal makeup, but you don't have to wait for it to dry like water-based stuff. And also, water-based stuff tends to collect in the deep areas and then run because you're normally working on a reasonably vertical surface. But it's that sheen, and that's more evident with darker skin. The darker the skin, the more evident there is a sheen that needs to be right. And often I found with a lot of alcohol colours, they can be very matte.
Yeah.
And I know you can put, glosses back in, but it'd be nice to put something on it that was makeup-y and blend it like you can cream, or even thin it down with the liquid with the Schmicks, is it?
The dimethicone thinner, yeah.
Yeah, and or 244 or something, so we get a nice blend. And Neil's mixed up a bunch of colours and liquidized them, so that it's basically we're trying to make. You spent most of the time doing these nice little things that make it easier to apply. Doing all the hard work now, like the second pull we pulled out.
Sure, so you don't have to do it on
just
the
because
day.
It's fussy. But what I've been trying to do, and it's quite annoying for Neil, I'm sure, because I'll stop, move the camera there. I want to see that. And we opened up the second one, and it was fine, but there was this hole here where basically I put a bleed hole in the cheek on the core, and it had filled, and basically some had crept out after we blocked it somehow. I don't think it was blocked properly or something, and so there was basically a cavity in the cheek. When we took the piece out, it was only the only problem on that piece, really. So we sort of injected some silicone from behind to refill it and patch it. But apart from that, it's fine. But it's doing something like that, which we could probably do on the day, to be honest. But we just thought, well, we'll stay a little bit later and do it today. And then that way, when we turn up, the pieces are done and ready to go, and it's nicer.
Yeah, no, the stress is going to be high enough on the day, even if you got all your shit piled up nice and neat.
Yeah.
It's it's just the way it goes. The more you don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Well, I like pretty much having absolutely everything that I could possibly have prepared.
Yeah, it's good because I get to a point where I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll just do it. I don't care. I'm too tired now. But you've been very good about well, no, I know.
I know.
And I know I'm going to appreciate that when we're doing it.
Tinted anti-shine, so it's like...
Don't know, he's tinted the anti-shine already.
Jeez.
Yeah. Tinted the filler.
All right, there's a
filler that was the right color.
Explain to me how you did that.
I actually, because anti-shine's a dimethicone, silicone, or polysiloxane.
Yeah. Okay.
I used some of Sean's colors, and it blends because that's a silicone cream, mixes in perfectly. Yeah. Just mix a little bit with it, and
light bulb.
It's awesome. So, and it looks great. So now we got this whole little pack of colours that are the right colours, liquidized, ready to go. And then on Saturday, I think the plan is basically we'll have a table. Because one of the things I hate about doing demos of any kind is when you roll up and you have to do like the walk of shame. You walk up there with your box, and then everyone watches while you unpack your kit and arrange your palettes and put your brushes out and drop something and all that kind of stuff. And so we're going to do all that beforehand, behind stage, on a table, get it all laid out. And then the finished
Tesco carry bags.
Yeah, type of Tesco carry bags. Which today I was like, I'm not doing that. I've got a Zuka. I've dusted it down. I packed, I put all this stuff in there, and I'm gonna look semi-professional. Sean is not. No, she can't.
Is Sean going to be there?
Still. Yeah, she's in Cleveland doing a movie. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm getting messages on my phone. There we go. So it's just a case of like, why are we doing this, really? And I think ultimately it was because, I spent most of this year doing shows. The majority of this year have been on things. And as is always the case, you can't show anyone anything because of NDAs. So this was like a real chance. And we did bits and bobs together before, like years ago we worked together. And then when we came over to Toronto in January, February.
Yeah, I got you to come over for a union demo.
Which was really good fun. I was there for a good few days.
I love Toronto. I haven't been there in quite some time, but it's one of the favorite cities I've ever been to.
Cool place.
It was lovely. I had a really good time.
I've seen some crazy shit on Yonge Street. I got to tell you.
Yeah, there's some wild people down there.
I was going to a trade show, and on my way from the hotel to the venue, and two separate occasions I saw weird shit. One occasion I saw a guy walking a mountain lion on a leash.
Okay. That's normal.
Yeah. And then a couple days later, I saw a guy and a girl walking down the street holding hands, and this guy was in a full neoprene wetsuit, scuba tank, fins, walking down the street.
Was he walking backwards?
I don't know if it was for a photo shoot or no. He was just lifting his feet up real high and plopping them down with the swim fins. And I told people about it when I got to the venue and said, "You really need to go see a doctor."
No, there's a diving convention, and he's just didn't have a changing room. It's free.
That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's some special people there. There used to be a guy, I haven't seen him for a long time, called Xanta.
Right.
And it's basically like some guy that wears a Santa Claus hat, and he's just out on the street topless, and he'll just do like push-ups and
wow.
Yeah, he's like a kind of a celebrity almost. Very strange, but I haven't seen or heard of him for a while. So
where's my screen gone? There we go.
Very odd.
It's one of the cleanest cities I've ever seen.
Yeah, apart from I thought that Toronto was super clean until I went to Ottawa. And Ottawa is like insane. It's like there was like nothing on the ground. I'm like, this is unreal.
Wow.
Unreal.
I haven't done that either. I have to go to Ottawa. Sounds like fun.
There's nothing like
Canadians are tidy. They're very tidy people.
What was I going to say?
I don't know. We just got sidetracked with that.
No, it's good. With this makeup. So the idea, I think, really was because we end up on these shows all the time doing stuff you can't show anybody what you're doing. I always relish opportunities like this, and because I think we were chatting and hanging out and talking and stuff in Toronto, it was like, we should do something, and it kind of came around that this, I don't know, suggested it to do this together this way. Was it you or Sean? But
I think I'm trying to remember back because I mentioned that'd be this makeup would be really cool to do because coming to America too.
Yeah, and you'd done a makeup on Norm for IMATs, hadn't you?
Yeah, did the London IMATs. Did a zombie thing on Norm. And it was funny. And he had a laugh, and he agreed to come back to do another makeup. So it was like it'd be perfect. And then I think Sean mentioned, we said, we should get Stu involved, and it'd be kind of fun, because it's in England, and
superb. So that's how it happened. Yeah. So I got him in.
So does Norm live in Toronto as well?
No, he lives over here.
Yeah, he lives here.
He lives in London. So so I picked him up and took him here, and we did the live cast and then shipped it back and forth. So it's just it was like what is it about this makeup? If I'm doing a presentation about it, what is it? What are we doing? And it's like it's basically a bit of fun, but it's a bit of fun done to the same degree that I would do for a show.
Yeah.
But we've been able to document everything and show it, and it's more than one person doing it. So you have to consider what the other person's doing, but also when it comes to application, I'll do things a certain way, Neill will do things a certain way, and I'll find out things because I don't think we've actually stuck a makeup on together.
No, we did a makeup together, but we didn't glue it on because you glued on because I sculpted that suit for Jimmy V, and then you did his face, and you put the face on.
Oh, for Weird Sister.
Yeah, it was a long time.
God, that was like 18 years ago.
For a music video?
No, it was a kids' TV show.
Like
I think the girl who was in it is now like a big movie star.
Yeah, probably.
I have to look that up.
It must have been about 99 or 2000 though.
2000, I think.
Possibly
2001.
Was it?
Here. It could be that. I don't like it.
I thought it was before that though, because I left to go to Toronto. I moved there in like 2004
Felicity Jones,
maybe.
I don't know. It's the gargoyle.
Oh, there you go, the gargoyle.
I'll make a medley out of that. Fucking hell. I'm so sorry.
Found it eventually.
Yeah. 2001. So that's the last time we worked together. But we hadn't worked on our makeup together. But yeah, so the point is when you do something that with other people, you do things a different way and that kind of stuff. And because we can document everything, I just thought it'd be really nice to document the whole thing. Now, I won't have time to edit the video of how it was made by Saturday, but I will edit that video down and put it together. But I can show some stills and little bits and bobs. But there's been some interesting things that are not new things, like tinting cat plastic isn't a new thing. It's just I haven't done it before. These collapsible core I haven't done before that way, so that's a new thing for me.
Yeah.
And
again, taking a makeup that was originally done in foam latex and translating it into silicone it's kind of difficult, I think.
Yeah, there are certain qualities to the foam, which silicone doesn't possess. So you don't want
to make it look too I don't know. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
even
too
know
much
how...
like real skin. Well, yeah, it's weird because otherwise it'll have a quality that the initial makeup doesn't have.
So it's got to look somewhere in between, right?
Yeah, it's trying to imagine. You know,
the foam latex, if it's done in multiple pieces, has to be extended on the snaps to account for the shrinkage.
Yeah,
which you don't need to worry about with silicone.
Yeah, yeah, and even if it's nice and thin and soft, but yeah, it's kind of. I think it's an interesting one with regards to a character, and people have expectations. You know, it's like doing remakes of things, like remaking of movies, and it's like that. You know, you can make a perfectly good movie, but people just don't like it because it's not the same as the original, and so there's a lot of baggage that comes with sort of revisiting things.
And also doing a makeup that was originally done by Rick Baker.
Yeah, I mean, let's not.
I'm sure he'll chime in on it at some
this was
point.
a sloppy job originally, so it's a lot to live up to. Yeah. But you know, just like doing the Bela Lugosi thing, you know, that was a tall order. That was a big ask. But it's nice to be a little bit uncomfortable. And this is the other thing I think is as well. Like I was saying, like, you know, if people could see what we're doing here. It's like, it is just like, is this going to work? I fucking hope so. And we'll look at each other and go, well, no, open up and see what happens. And it is a dice roll sometimes with this. And it's not like saving lives or landing a plane in a heavy crosswind. It's not like dangerous, but it's just, there's a real risk. And it's good to be reminded of that, I think, when you're doing this stuff, to constantly be realizing, like, this could go wrong. This could screw up. I don't know if this is going to work. I might open the mold, the piece is fucked. I haven't got time to run another one or whatever.
This could be a career ender.
It could be. Don't be like that. So
Sean will never speak to you again.
A little. It's a chance to kind of go to those places where it's a little bit scary for me, but when it works, you kind of feel like the noise when the mold opens.
Oh, it's beautiful. I know.
Now, we did video the opening of the mould, and I just wanted to play you the sound of the mould opening because it was quite a distinctive and enjoyable sound, and I really wanted you to hear it.
Just give it another crank.
Isn't that just perfect? Anyway, back to the podcast.
I can't wait to see the finished piece. I have no doubt that it's going to
I hope so.
turn out
I
beautifully.
mean, if it's a bag of shit, all this we're talking about is fucking means nothing.
Well, then you can, God forbid, but if it does, turn it into a teaching moment.
Yeah. Just own it. Yep, that is shit. I'm terrible. Let's examine why I'm terrible. So, yeah. But, I've had plenty of those. And it is interesting in retrospect to kind of revisit and go, why did that go wrong? But in the moment, it's always horrible, especially if you have an audience of people who watch you, slowly sink like a deflating balloon.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But this is the thing. It is nerve wracking. It is. It's nerve wracking. I could be doing this in front of people, but that is.
I mean, luckily we've had kind of teaching experience, in front of people, talking and doing makeup. But so it's not still, I mean, I know there's some people that get horrible kind of get thrown into the mix. Yeah. And
well, at least the two of you will be doing it together. It's so somebody's watching while somebody's talking to the crowd.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Different than doing a solo application and watching half your edges flip over on themselves and try to tap dance out of that.
Yeah.
I think one of us is going to be holding Norm's head still.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He
Stop talking.
He might be a little animated. I think we'll be fine. And then you've got basically there's a whole bunch of stuff about this that is uncertain, and it's kind of going through it ourselves, honestly, in a way that it's fresh in the mind, so you can articulate it to other people who presumably will go through the same thing, and then knowing it's not unusual. It's normal to feel like, oh shit, is this going to work? I feel like a fraud. This is so, even with all the experience we've got, I still feel every time I put makeup on, like, this might go.
Yeah, I think that kind of comes back to the whole nature of being an artist. Is we're never satisfied with our work, no matter how good it looks.
Yeah, I just need other people to be satisfied with it.
How long can I keep pulling the wool over people's eyes?
Yeah,
at least one more day.
Yeah. So there we go. So that should be fun. But it's been a really good time. The only thing I regret is I haven't spent as much time detailing it as I'd like, because you've done a nice job of putting that detail in. But obviously, when I had the pieces and I had to blend them out, some areas I had to press down and I extended the edge out, and so I had to put that texture back in. And it was fun, but I wanted to spend more time on it. But it's one of those things where you can't, because the sculpting part, as much fun and as important as it is, that's only one part of a big, you've got all these other processes. We'll get it done just in time. Had I spent another day detailing it, it might have been a nicer texture, but we wouldn't have been this far along with the molds, or we wouldn't have had 2 sets out. Or
I know. And I ultimately think that sometimes not going mental with the texture is better.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I'm sure you've seen the same. I've seen makeups, particularly age makeups, that you look at them and it looks like whoever sculpted it had a great time doing it, but it don't look like an old guy.
Yeah,
it looks like a lot of nicely sculpted wrinkles, but they look like sculpted wrinkles.
Yeah.
And I think there is something to be said for kind of backing off a bit sometimes.
That's a hard thing to kind of like to balance. Having like really, really awesome refined forms, and then
that point where you know when something's done.
Yeah, when do you stop? Normally it's because when there's no more time. But
money's run out.
If you're doing something for yourself, you could spend an unreasonable amount of time doing something.
Yeah.
And it's a tough one, because sometimes it becomes you're deifying the act of doing it beyond, it almost becomes like an obsessive act, which is perhaps unnecessary, but not one you can stop.
And the same with the paint job. You can keep painting and over painting when really, it only needed like 3 or 4 colours.
Yeah. And it's easy. Yeah, it's easy to go overboard.
Yeah. It is, and it's also easy when you're doing stuff for yourself. Particularly, I think this is quite true. It's very hard to know when to stop, because there isn't anyone to tell you. But also, when you finish it, you're like saying, well, it's done now, and I'm now going to be judged on it. And no one wants to do that. And so sometimes I think this is one of those things about people who, claim to be perfectionists. It's like, it's more a strategy to avoid finishing something and saying, right, it's done, now please criticize it. Whereas if you never finish it, in theory, that never happens. And there's something to be said for knowing when enough's enough. Partly because you need to start another thing. You know what I mean? If you just spend forever circling the end and never actually going in the end, finishing it, that's not good either. You have to ship it at some point.
Yeah, you just do it, and then you just point out. I mean, even if to yourself, you can point out things. Oh, well, I would have done this. But I mean, that's just a natural thing, right? And
it can always be better, no matter how good it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do the best you can at that particular moment.
Yeah.
And then,
but the fact is, when you do it, you'll think to yourself, yeah, as good as this is, I reckon I could do better. So I'm going to hold out until that better thing happens. And then whatever that thing that happens, even if it was better, you could kid yourself that there's more better to come. So why should you set on that? And at some point, you've got to be able to make a decision and go, that's enough. That's good enough.
Well, if you're going to fail, you got to fail forward instead of failing backwards. So that you learn something and won't make that same mistake again. So that you're making forward progress. Because failing's part of the learning process. If you don't fuck things up, you're not going to learn anything.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, I think it's almost like but there's a reluctance to finish in order to say you have failed. It's more a case of, it's not failing, but it's slowly tanking. It hasn't failed, but it's not going the way I want, so I'm going to stop. You know what I mean? And then you end up with this sort of potential. If you're doing things for yourself, you can end up with this sort of endless. You're waiting for the good feeling to come.
Then you have a shelf,
and that ain't going to happen.
Full of unfinished projects.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's a familiar thing. I know I've got things kicking around that are not done.
I think you should kind of set deadlines for things.
Yeah,
because then it's like, I did as good as I could for that amount of time.
Yeah.
And if you want to revisit it, then you do it again.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, set yourself a definite finish point.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if you keep doing that, you will get better. Because I guess you could ask yourself, why are you doing it? What are you doing it for? Are you doing it because you want to experience perfection? Because you should go in knowing that ain't going to happen. You will get better.
Yeah. But perfection is
inevitably.
It's like unicorns.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. I remember it.
What, don't exist?
Yeah.
Or they're funny looking.
Yeah, they got pointy things and hooves.
Yeah, but I don't know. You gotta finish something. I mean, the thing is, if you're working professionally, you have a certain amount of detachment, don't you? And I think that's the danger. I think if you're doing stuff for yourself, you don't have that detachment because I'll get it finished when it's finished. Which is why I think you're saying.
I don't know if detachement's quite the right word. It's a different mindset for sure, because you're realizing somebody else's vision as opposed to doing something of your own. So the work isn't yours.
Yeah,
per se.
But it's like there was a really good thing that is it Chris Costa? Chris Costa's the Theonopolis sculptor.
Yeah.
Is Costa or Costas?
Costa.
His stuff is incredible, and he, a lot of the things he does that we see are things that he's doing off his own back for fun. And he posted all these pictures of like things he's done for visual effects. And he was basically saying, look, all these things that I've done, they're for other people. You know what I mean? If you're not satisfied, if you're not getting creative satisfaction, then go do more of your own work. Because when you work for other people, you're hands for hire. You're not doing something. It's not an indulgence for you. It's for somebody else. So they have a deadline. They have an end goal, and they have something they want. Hopefully they know what they want, but let's assume they have something they want, and your job is to fulfill that. Yeah. There's a certain detachment in that you don't have to come up with the origin of it. You just have to make the thing.
Right.
And so long as it's good enough, you can sort of relax and say, I've done my job. And you do that for lots of people, and you get better. And then when you get things like this, like trade shows, you might go, I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. And it could be a thing that I want it to do. And so you tend to spend a lot more time making it just so. We've got a deadline.
Yeah, he goes to crazy lengths with detail.
Mm-hmm. But he still gets it done.
Yeah, he still gets it done, which stresses the importance of deadlines, even if they're personal ones.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, it needs to be to that level, but there's obviously techniques. He's still got to be good at sculpting, but there's certain ways of doing things. Because I look at that stuff and I think that would take years, but he'll have done it in a couple of days, so or a week or something. So he's working to a schedule, but it's really important to have that deadline. And I think when you work for other people, you get used to having that external deadline.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, if you're doing something for yourself, you kind of need a deadline that you set yourself, or you get somebody to set for you. Be like accountable to something outside of yourself, because I think that then drives you to get shit done. Because otherwise, it's human nature. You kind of dawdle and then make excuses as to why you can't finish it, and that actually stops you from getting better, because you're never going to get closure. Yeah, that's true. Netflix and Mr. Robot. It's holding everybody back. That all sounds, so I think, you're right. I think if you're doing something for yourself, you still need to treat it like a job and say, this is how long I'm going to set aside. Give yourself a realistic deadline, or hours. It might be a 50-hour thing. That's it, start to finish, and you can only do a couple of hours a day. But when those 50 hours are up, that's it. That's it done.
I mean, when I get, hired for jobs, I don't really feel like I'm not putting, my 100% of me into the job. But I know that I have got that deadline, and I think that just, with everything that I do, even like personal projects, I will like set a deadline to stuff.
Well, that comes with experience too.
Yeah.
People just starting out are flip-flopping around trying to figure things out. But the longer you do it, you just know how long it takes to do something.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you can budget the time for it. How much of a certain material you're going to need for the mold or for the forehead or for whatever aspect you're doing. So you just know how it takes. I've got students who come over to help me every now and then, and I'll be pouring something out, and I can tell just by looking whether something's right or not. and that only comes with having
That comes
done
with
it
experience.
1,000 times.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I think is, this is something I was talking to students, I think at the IVA where I was teaching, and it's like one of the things you can do, I think it's nice to have a sense of completeness about something. So it might be a case of, say you wanted to do something, say you haven't got a job in, but you want to do something you want to look cool. Say you want to do like a couple of characters. What you could do is like get some plaster faces, or a plaster face, sculpt on it what you want it to look like, and then basically stipple a couple of layers of latex over it. Obviously that then commits your plastiline to not being used for silicon from this point on. So maybe you have a box of stuff that you keep aside just for this. Yeah. I guess you could use cat plastic, but that's more expensive. But you stipple a couple of layers of latex over the sculpt and the face, and then you paint it. So you got the joy of the sculpt. You can photograph the sculpt. Then you can stipple it with latex, so you've got this skin over the top that you can peel off later when you're done. And then paint it with acrylic paints. Just paint it how you want it to look, as if it was a finished makeup. So you've got the sculpt, the photos of the sculpt, you've got the finished thing on a face painted, and then you peel it off and do it again. And you haven't had to mould it and cast it and apply it to a person. That bit in the middle, which relies on somebody else coming in, sitting still. Do you know what I mean? Not having easy access to somebody else to apply to.
Yeah, that's a great
can
exercise.
Stop you from doing, and that's a way you could, and then do something with relatively little material, and then you just reuse the same life cast and the same the plastiline, and just keep doing it again. Oh yeah, you need a little bit of latex, you need some acrylic paints, whatever. But the point is, you can have a complete look and finish something, and know what it would look like without having to say, well, I haven't got any way to make molds, or I haven't got a model to apply to, and that's why I won't do any sculpting or any painting. And so it kind of stops you from doing anything at all. So it's kind of having a way of doing something that's relatively inexpensive.
It's an incredible money saver, because people starting out who are doing everything on their kitchen table, if they can skip having to make a mold of the sculpture, cast it out in whatever material, gelatin even, which is inexpensive, and then put it on somebody, you're saving some bucks.
Yeah, and you just reuse it.
Yeah, and that's a good incentive to practice and keep getting better, knowing that you don't have to shell out all this money for these unnecessary materials at that point.
That was actually a little piece of information that I got from back in the day when I was like writing letters to companies. Jim the Creature Shop. That was a letter. I mean, I got a letter from them just saying, "Oh, you don't need to finish anything in foam latex or wherever else." It was just, just send pictures of sculptures. And then it's like, ooh, I don't have to go through that whole,
Yeah, that's the thing, because it is prohibitive to be able to do that. And I think companies understand that you might not have it. But you can tell from somebody's sculpt whether they've got the juice. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So,
or a 2D, pencil
or a
sketch.
paint, or a painting, or whatever it is you do well. But it's finding a way to get that satisfaction. Like I've started doing a lot more since I bought a tablet. I've started doing more digital sketches, and I set myself like sort of 5-10 minute sketch times, and I'll just do a couple before going to bed. And so they're not precious to me, because there's no paper being wasted, and it's just a doodle, and you can erase things obviously on a tablet, and it's really fun actually. It sort of settles my mind, gives me like that little creative satisfaction just before it's time to switch my brain off. And I find that quite nice. But again, there's no pressure behind it, but it's having a sort of a deadline. It's a 10-minute thing or a 5-minute thing. It's not going to be when it's finished, and then you could tear yourself a new one, wondering when finished is. So I guess setting deadlines is important, and I think we take it for granted when the deadline's set by somebody else externally. But actually, the absence of it on your own projects, I think, could be quite damaging. So it's good to enforce one on yourself, maybe. There we go. Yeah. So how's your day been? Have you been busy making things today?
I'm still working on that inoculation sleeve. I've got it.
Which is very funny. The pictures you sent are very funny.
Yes, it's like a big horse cock.
Yeah.
I've still got one more layer of silicone to put on it before I do the shell.
Yeah.
But my deadline on that project is looming.
Okay.
December 7th. Pearl Harbor Day
Okay.
is when I've got to deliver that. So got a lot of work to do.
That's crazy, isn't
It's
it?
like some CIA shit that we were talking about.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
But I'm working on the core piece right now, and then I've got to sculpt what the sleeve is actually going to be up, and it's going to have to be close to 1.5 inches of added skin to make room for this reservoir, because the needle's 1.5 inches long. Ooh. Yeah. So
fabulous.
Cool.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Well, I am exhausted. I don't know.
You guys have had a pretty full 24 plus hours.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that face piece is now offset. Neil's been patching the we had that elbow thing that's fixed now. So that's the last piece. So we'll mount that on its core, and then I'm going to take a couple of photos and throw them up on Instagram. So
how long a drive is it going to be tomorrow?
Well, to Coventry, it's about 95 miles, so I'm guessing maybe a couple of hours if we leave early enough. But
Friday traffic.
We've got a plan to make a vac form skull cap to attach the wig to, so that it pushes down, because Normski's got a bit of an afro that's quite big, and he's pushing down. And Neil's idea was, if we can get it on a vac form plate, or a cup that sits on his skull, then it just pushes the hair down. It's much easier to retain. So we're going to stop by Millennium on the way in Aylesbury, get that done, and then carry on up. So sort of on the way to Coventry. We'll go up to Coventry via Aylesbury, and then tomorrow night, I guess, unpacking stuff and then putting together a PowerPoint whilst resisting the beer,
work.
And then I reckon sleep like a fucking baby tomorrow, with that feeling of like, it's done now. There's like nothing else I can do.
I have to have a beer.
Oh yeah, there'll be a beer.
A beer or two.
Remember to take everything to the venue with you.
So yeah, but I just got to get that together, and I need to put that on a jump drive. I must remember to take.
Got to call Norm. We've not even spoken to Norm.
Yeah, we need to check with Norm. I need to speak to Chris.
Yeah, make sure he hasn't made other plans for the weekend.
And also making sure that he's got costume, because he needs a big suit, like a blue suit that he needs to bring, maybe.
Yeah.
You'd have thought we'd organise this, but I was so busy getting the pieces right. I didn't really worry about that. Anyway, we'll figure it out. We always do. We'll make something happen.
Can't wait to see it.
Amazing. Well, thanks, Todd. It's been really cool to do this. I'm hoping we could work.
You betcha.
I think this microphone seems to be doing right. It's a little bit more. I don't know.
I can hear you just fine, even though you back away from it every now and then. It sounds good.
I really like it. It's techie shit. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to come to Monsterpalooza, Neil, so we can.
I know. I missed the last.
We can follow up on this.
Yeah, totally, man. I missed the last couple of Monsterpaloozas. I'm like,
have to get your ass over. If we can make it over, you certainly can.
When is it?
It's April, May.
May 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Because I'm in LA January. I'm there for IMATS January 10th. Then I'm doing a 3-day intensive education thing, Sean.
Okay.
And then something else. And then we're going to Vancouver. But I don't know, actually.
It's May, so
it's in May.
Plenty of time.
The 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back, though. I've been there before. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be good.
We were there for the 10th anniversary, which was insane.
Yeah, that was very cool. Hearing the guy that sings... Oh, no, that was IMATS.
Yeah, that was IMATS.
Where they did the Lost Boys tribute.
Oh, that's right.
And they had the guy singing Cry Little Sister.
Oh, no, it was a different guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Tim Capello.
No,
I still believe. That wasn't that.
That would have
been
been amazing.
That would have been very funny. A big fucking chain with a saxophone.
Just sagging
looking like looking like a post-steroid fucking Michael Bolton. It was the other guy. I can't remember his name. The guy that sings us Cry Little Sister. Yeah. That was fucking brilliant. But I was sticking the makeup on at the time, and your eyes were covered. So we heard it, but we didn't see it. But yeah. So there we go. So, sorry, that's a lot of waffle on my part, but I'm excited about the fact that we're doing this makeup. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited about the fact that I managed to record the majority of its manufacture and document it and be able to put this together in a decent video in a way I wouldn't be able to do if I was working on a show. So
yeah, 100%.
It's been awesome. It's been good fun. But I am absolutely white now.
Still much to do.
Still much to do. I've still got to prepare and pack for Edinburgh, and
we're just going to figure out what we're going to talk about.
And pack. I think we can figure it out on the way up tomorrow. And partly this chat here is help us to zero in on it. Yeah. But I think driving up tomorrow will be quite nice, because there's that feeling of having done this, and there's a day between us and the tasks, and there's something about a good night's sleep that kind of goes, okay, that's now done, box is ticked, and we can go on our way. And all I've really got to do tomorrow is make sure I don't forget to bring things. But because I won't have anything to make, I'll have headspace left to make those decisions.
Make a checklist.
Yeah, I'm not very good. It's almost like life gets more and more complicated, but the RAM in my brain does not increase. So I just need, I basically can do less and less every day. I just need to be able to prioritize what it is we do. And tomorrow is important that I don't forget anything. So I'm going to leave the packing of things till tomorrow, when that's the only thing I've got to do.
Your brain feel like a 286.
Yeah, seriously.
Sucks to be an adult.
Yeah, ZX Spectrum. Vic 20. Fuck, it's a Vic 20. It's not even that. It's running on a cassette.
Yeah. I had a Dragon 16K.
Fucking hell, get you.
I know.
Who made that? Sinclair? Dragon.
It was like some really rare computer back in the day. A Dragon 16K.
Oh my god. Do you remember the Vic 20?
Actually, but I think a ZX80 on it, 8K.
I had a mate at ZX80.
I had an Amiga.
500.
They were awesome. They had the best art.
I wish I still had it.
They were great for music as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a video toaster. Had a switcher built into it.
Oh,
I spoke to Everett Burrell about that.
Did you?
That's what they used an Amiga on.
Yes, Walking Dead.
Night of the Living Dead remake.
Night of the Living Dead remake. I've still got the Fangoria with that in it. Oh, Gorzone. All right, dude.
Don't forget to have fun.
I think we will.
Fun is important.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun, actually.
You do that thing where you're demoing and someone shouts out and you just say, "Get out here!"
And get a Prosthetics Event hoodie.
I'll try. Yeah. That sounds like fun. Yeah. No, I'll definitely get one of those, because they look really cool.
Yeah.
And I know Don Lanning's going to be there, so I'll say hi to him.
Tell him I said hey.
I will.
Tell everybody I said hey.
Yeah, I will. And a whole bunch of people I haven't seen for ages, so I'm looking forward to seeing them. So it should be cool.
Cool. Oh, you guys are going to have a great time.
I hope so. All right, dude. Well, thank you very much for being able to hook up with this podcast chat. It's been fantastic. I've had a good time.
Yeah, this was a great time.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, dude. Magic. Have a good evening. Take care of yourself.
Talk to you guys soon.
Speak to you soon.
Later,
Cheers,
Okay, bye.
Bye.